Graham Matthews, Bleacher Report, FanSided, Daily DDT. My man, how you doing?
Doing great, bro. How about you?
Doing good, man. Can't complain. We're taping this live Friday morning, July 26th. So if you are watching on YouTube or Twitter, hit us up with some questions, comments, feedback, and we'll get right to it on the show. Find my man, Graham Matthews, on Twitter, X, at WrestleRant. Find myself, Randy J. Cruz, R-E-N-D-Y, letter J-C-R-U-Z, on Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Find the podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also on Amazon Music. And again, as I said earlier, youtube.com/Cruise Control Podcast. Go ahead, download, rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Show some love and support for your boys on the program. Any comments, feedback, questions for Graham and I, get it to us. We'll read it on the show. Right out the back, my man Noob is waiting. Like
Noob, what's going on, my man?
Morning.
Thanks for joining.
Doing good, man. Getting ready to begin the show. Always appreciate your love and support, man. Thank you. So right off the bat, Graham, the big news or the big rumors going around that WrestleMania could be headed to London in the near future. Nothing is official or in stone, but we saw Triple H and Nick Khan and the people have some meetings with the people in London about a future WrestleMania being taken place in London. We know 41 is in Vegas. We don't know what's going to happen for 42 and beyond. But for what you've been seeing or reading, again, and this is like a day already, what have you been able to conjure up, and what do you think is the earliest you might see your WrestleMania in London?
Yeah, I mean, this is all fairly new. I mean, this just came out last night. I haven't seen a whole lot on it. I've honestly tried to stay away from reading anything, not wrestling related, but I haven't really been on Twitter a ton. Usually I'm always like reading this stuff on Twitter, but I kind of looked quickly last night. I've stayed off of it just because Deadpool and Wolverine comes out tonight. I'm trying to avoid spoilers, but
that's right.
So from what I have seen, it looks like it's likely. The source that had tweeted about it was an England source or whatever, and they wouldn't have put that out there unless there were serious negotiations going on. So it sounds like we're getting closer to it becoming a possibility. The biggest obstacle for the longest time was the fact that are you going to really do it at 3 p.m. on a fucking Sunday or a Saturday? The answer is yes. I mean, a majority of the PLEs that we've gotten so far in 2024 from WWE have all been afternoon shows. The France show, Saudi Arabia, Clash of the Castle, all happened at 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon. Toronto's Money in the Bank and Cleveland SummerSlam going back to a normal start time. We'll be back in the afternoon on a Saturday for Bash in Berlin at the end of the month in August. But it's possible, man. I know WrestleMania is different because it's an it's their biggest show of the year, and they want to maximize the audience. And not everyone domestically from the U.S. can travel to the UK, and it might be a production issue, a logistical issue, stuff like that. But it seems like we're getting closer to it becoming a possibility. Listen, we've said before, I would much rather, obviously, this goes without saying, see WrestleMania in London long before, if ever, that we ever see WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia. If we got WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia, which I don't think should happen at all, but if it were to happen, it would be a travesty if we had that happen before WrestleMania in London, which people have been wanting and talking about for a very long time now. So I'm down for it. I would love to go. I've never seen a wrestling show, period, in London. I've been there for it, so I would love to go to that. I mean, as far as the earliest that could happen, obviously not next year. We're in Vegas next year for Mania. So I would say probably 42 is possible. I mean, maybe 43. I know the Indianapolis deal that they worked out. We'll see them get a Rumble, Mania, and a SummerSlam in the next couple of years. So they might go to Indianapolis first because they're going to Indianapolis for the Rumble next year. So they're not going there for SummerSlam next year or Mania. In 2026, we know SummerSlam is going to be in, I don't remember, but they announced it a couple months ago.
For next year?
For 2026. Remember they announced it like 2.5 years in advance.
Hold on.
You can look it up, but it was something, they announced it for somewhere. So Mania, if SummerSlam's taken in 2026 and they're not doing the Rumble again, it might be Indianapolis. So it might be until 2027 that we might see Mania in London, would be my guess.
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, that's what it was. They've announced so many cities.
2-day SummerSlam.
2-day SummerSlam. And they also announced the 2-day SummerSlam for next year, I think. Not this year. For SummerSlam next year, I think they already said it'll be 2 days. That Indianapolis, I'm sorry, when they got Cleveland or when they got SummerSlam, so many fucking cities. I'm getting confused. It was also going to be 2 days there as well. So I'm thinking next year, Vegas, Indianapolis in 2026 for WrestleMania 42, and then WrestleMania 43 in 2027 could be in London. That's the way I see it working out.
My man Noob. Imagine WrestleMania being in Wembley. That'll be awesome. I mean, that's a possibility.
It is. I think it would. I mean, I don't know where else it would. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the geography.
Am I wrong? But is the O2 and Wembley the same spot, or is it two different? Or
the O2 is where they run Raw and SmackDown.
Like an arena.
So they wouldn't do Mania there.
No. Yeah. Right, Wembley. The last show they had for pay-per-view in London, it can't be SummerSlam 92, right? Am I bugging?
No, they did Money in the Bank there last year.
Money in the Bank.
At Wembley, the last pay-per-view they did there was SummerSlam 92. AEW did All In last year at Wembley as well, did 90,000 or whatever it was, an amazing number, an amazing accomplishment for a non-WWE show.
Right.
But the last WWE PLE in London was Money in the Bank last year.
I'm trying to think. I don't think. All right, so we got 41 coming up.
Yep.
So you try to tell me within the next 5 years, I would say that could it stretch to like I'm saying like optically WrestleMania 45, like the 45, the fives and the zeros always sound like real, like 25 and 30, like it always sound like more dominant than like 42 and 43, but like the cutoff will be 45 for me for London and WrestleMania. Knowing them, they had this shit mapped out for 3-4 years down the line. So there is Vegas, there is Indianapolis that you mentioned. It was supposed to be Minneapolis, but that got side swiped for Vegas, and now they're getting SummerSlam in 2 years on 2 nights, which could be kind of cool for the new SummerSlam 2 nights era. But I think no past 45. Could it be 42, 43, like you mentioned? Possibility. Yeah. But I just think just the intrigue of having, we can see a SummerSlam, we could see a Backlash and the Bash of Berlin, those kind of joints overseas. But for WrestleMania to be overseas, and I don't count Canada, that's like up the block, but like real overseas show, 2 nights, WrestleMania, London, and that's a whole different feeling, a whole different world that they're gonna have to be prepared for, and I think they will. But it's something new. It's like aside from London, where else overseas could you see a WrestleMania really happening? Like it's not many places to me.
No, but I mean, it depends. The France show they did in Lyon a couple months ago was amazing. So they could definitely do a WrestleMania there. I think would be cool.
Yeah, France. Again, I'm bad with geography, but like if you tell me WrestleMania like is like in Australia, I'll be like, oh, okay,
that's possible.
I'll be down for that.
I mean, they were just there for Elimination Chamber earlier this year, so I mean, I would be down for that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like any of the shows that we've seen pay-per-views in this year, like Chamber, Berlin, any of them really, Saudi, I mean, they've been working with for a while. I feel like could be a test to see what a Mania there could look like, production-wise and anything else. So I would look at these shows as like a test, and I feel like France would be awesome because that crowd was amazing. Scotland was another good one. So really any of those, if they have a big enough stadium, and they should, I mean, they have like football, / soccer there, whatever. They should. I feel like that would totally be, they could definitely work it out. Is my point.
Yeah, listen, we don't know what the roster is going to look like in 2-3 years in that time, and what kind of main event options they would have. But just going overseas to London and performing at WrestleMania 2 nights, like Graham, if Bleacher Report tells you I need you to go to London for WrestleMania, you going?
I'll be there in a heartbeat. Is that a question?
I need you there both nights.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously the SmackDown would have to take place taped in the London area. and the Raw will be live in the London area. London,
I mean, it
no,
can't
right?
be live because it has to air at 8 on Mondays. They've never done a live Raw or SmackDown or whatever from all of
No.
these countries. They'll tape it in advance and then air it later, or
Yeah.
or just tape it a week in advance, whatever. They've never done them live because then they would have to air in like the States at like fucking 3 p.m., which they can't do TV scheduling wise. I mean, maybe they could, I don't know, but they've never done that before, so they wouldn't be able to be post WrestleMania Raw in London. Would be very difficult to make that. That would be tough.
And listen, like you said, if this goes down and you're looking like an early afternoon kind of start for a Saturday Sunday WrestleMania, but again, it'd be weird. But it's like, listen, 3 o'clock. I remember. I know I'm not bugging. It was a long time ago. I remember even here in New York when WrestleMania 10 was at the Garden, and I'm pretty sure I'm spot on. But that shit began at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I can go back and double check, but I'm like, I was 4 p.m. pay-per-view WrestleMania 10 on a Sunday at the Garden. I'm like, why is he starting so early? Now it's like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. But even in New York, in the States, you started mad early. And I'm like, why? I never understood, unless I got it wrong, but I'm pretty sure they started at 4 o'clock in the Garden for WrestleMania 10. But like, still, a WrestleMania beginning in the afternoon, I'll make sure I ain't do nothing. And now by that time, they're pushing WrestleMania a little back into April. As you see it coming up in Vegas, it ain't a typical first week or second week. Now it's the third week, maybe mid to late April, because they're pushing everything back now. So, I'm all good for that.
I mean, I would be down for it. I personally, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. My preference is an earlier show time. I fucking hate the shows that start at 7 or 8. I mean, they're fine, but then when they end at like 11:30, 12, and then I also go to these press conferences too. And even if you're not going to them, most people watch them. They don't get done until like 1 o'clock in the morning, dude. Like, it's
right.
The AEW ones are just terrible. I mean, it's not. I mean, again, preference wise, their pay-per-views, any pay-per-view, not even their big pay-per-views, they all go until like midnight. They have a post-show press scrum that goes like 2 hours. It's ridiculous. WWE is a bit more conservative and has been as of late in recent years, but I still prefer personally an earlier showtime. Like Mania last year obviously started at 8, but local time in California, due to the time change, it started at 5 p.m. local time and got done by like 8:30. That was amazing. I mean, that was like, holy shit, like, what am I going to do for the rest of my night? Like, that's so cool. So, I mean, I don't live on the West Coast. They deal with that shit all the time. Like, they have their shows start at 5 p.m., even if they start at 8 p.m. over here, whether they're filming there or not. I would prefer that, but I would love for them to do an earlier showtime for Mania. I would love an afternoon Mania. I don't watch football, but like, you got Sunday Night Football in the middle of the afternoon on some of these Sundays and Saturdays, and whenever the fuck it airs. So why not do the same thing with wrestling?
Imagine I'm gonna look up WrestleMania 10 start time. I know I'm not.
Yeah, how can you find that? You know, maybe an old commercial or something like that, because it's not like the internet was around really back then in '94 to find an old start time for it. People promoting when it started. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, it's definitely possible.
Oh man, hold on. Don't want to spend more than.
I'm sure you'll find something.
I'm seeing these little message boards. Oh, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
Random start times.
Random start time. I'm like, yo. You know what I need to get? The the flyer, the poster, where it says 7 p.m. Pacific for 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific kind of thing. I gotta see. Give me a couple seconds here. Bro, it says it right here. WrestleMania 10 live only on pay-per-view, March 20th, 1994, 4 p.m. Eastern.
There you go. Got confirmation.
Bro, why is WrestleMania 10 in New York City starting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Now, let me ask you this. Were they all starting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon back then?
Well, let's check your favorite WrestleMania 11 from your backyard,
I'm quiet.
which is the worst the worst WrestleMania of all
It's
time.
definitely one of.
Uh, WrestleMania 11, 7 o'clock at night.
7 o'clock. Okay, maybe there's just, I don't know. Maybe there was something else going on that day. Isn't that possible where there could have been like a fight that day or like a boxing match or something?
I
It
mean, it could have been.
coincide?
Could have been. I don't know, but
I don't know. I wasn't
weird.
even alive at that point, so I don't know.
As long as WrestleMania does not go back to your backyard at Hartford, Connecticut, and we'd never see a Connecticut WrestleMania ever again in
I
life.
hope we do, just to spite you, Randy. No matter how shitty it would be. I hope they do.
So we do have Punk and Drew official for SummerSlam, which is kind of figured what we were gonna get. We were trying to figure out how would Seth Rollins fit into this whole equation, and now we know he will be the special guest referee for the match. So he has no match at SummerSlam. He's the referee. He got beef with both Punk and Drew McIntyre. They all got beef with each other. And I think this is the perfect way to implement Seth. But obviously, we start thinking, all right, who's going to win? And does Seth make somebody lose in the process? There's no one's going to win clean in this matter. One question is, are you excited? Are you satisfied with Seth being involved somehow, some way as the referee? And who needs to win more, Punk or Drew McIntyre?
I am looking forward to it. I think the match doesn't need Rollins, but they want to involve him in the show in some form or fashion. This is the role that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I think McIntyre needs to win. Punk fucked him over 3 times for that World Heavyweight Championship. I feel like he's got to get back on track here. Does McIntyre with a win? I mean, it's not like he doesn't have heat, but if he really wants to stick it to Punk in the first match in their feud, he's got to win. He's got to either go in there and kill him or at least win the match.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I got McIntyre going over. I think he should win, and I feel like we could see Rollins inadvertently or intentionally, whatever, cost Punk the victory here.
Noob asking you, who was the face and who was the heel in this Drew Punk story? Because the lines are being blurred. Like, Punk can be bad guy-ish. Drew McIntyre can be bad guy-ish, but they both still get cheered. Punk gets cheered more than Drew McIntyre. But who's the heel? Who's the face in this match, Graham?
I mean, the lines are blurred, and that's what I like about it. I don't love feuds that don't have, complete. I mean, it's tough to do feuds with people who are not established, where you don't have a clear dynamic of who's a heel and who's a babyface. If they're not over, that dynamic won't work. Mm-hmm. With people like Drew and Punk, it works because people love Punk anyway. So he obviously, from a fan reaction standpoint, is the babyface here, and Drew is the heel. I mean, this all started with Drew injuring Punk back in the Royal Rumble. So technically,
That's
Drew
right.
is the heel. Punk has gone out of his way to cost Drew the title on multiple occasions in heel-esque fashion. But at the same time, though, he only did that because Drew was boasting about injuring Punk and being a dick about it and whatever. So I think Drew is more of the heel here. But it's not as if we haven't had feuds before where the baby faces have done heel things. The crowd will still cheer them because they love them so much. I mean, you go back to the Jericho, and I use this as an example all the time, the Jericho-Shawn Michaels feud from 2008. Jericho was kind of complaining how Shawn did heelish things by cheating in his matches. Eddie Guerrero would do the same thing, but they would still cheer Shawn Michaels, and that would make the fans hypocrites. And Jericho turned heel, and his actions were justified, but the way he went about it was questionable. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now with Drew, and that's why I like this feud so much, and it's been a great feud. So, I mean, on paper, Punk is the babyface, Drew is the heel, but they have kind of blurred the lines there in a way where it's still intriguing, and you can kind of pick who you want to cheer for, sort of thing, and it really doesn't matter. I mean, it's a great feud regardless.
So even with this being Punk's first singles match coming back, kind of vouch for him in a way where he needs to win more than McIntyre. I know McIntyre's been on the streak. He's been champion, Money in the Bank, but Punk keeps screwing him. And I get that, but Punk has been in one match in the Rumble. He got hurt. And now, if he loses, is it going to be a thing where he's in his head, He's thinking he's washed up. He's over the hill. He can't win. He's coming back from injury, that long road. So in that aspect, in that vein, you can vouch for him to say, you know what, Punk needs the match more than Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, I think Punk is over enough to where he will rebound. I don't think he needs the win. He hasn't. The only loss he's had so far is in the Rumble.
Yeah,
like as if he was pinned there. He lasted until the very end before getting tossed on by Cody Rhodes, who won the entire thing. So, you can make a case for Punk winning here. But as long as Punk will probably win in the end or win the next match, he's got to win at some point. He can't go on like a 5-match losing streak. It'll kind of hurt his aura, obviously. He has to win at some point, but I don't think it has to be here. I think, honestly, Drew should win more. Drew lost the world title in 5 minutes. He lost it. He cashed in Money in the Bank. He did win Money in the Bank, but he cashed in and lost. Was made to look like a loser there. Lost in his hometown at Clash of the Castle. Lost in the Royal Rumble. He's won his fair share of matches this year, but I feel like this is a big win that he needs. Punk doesn't really need it as much. He does need to win at some point. He doesn't need it here as much as Drew does.
So even if Drew wins, right, does he go off to a different program? We know this Bash in Berlin coming up. We know Bad Blood is coming up in October. Do they stretch this thing out, whether it's all 3 involved or just 2 out of 3, where we get a Bad Blood culmination of a feud? But now, which feud are you ending? Is it Drew Punk? Is it Punk and Seth? Is it Seth and Drew? Is it all 3 involved? Like, how do you stretch this thing up? Because 2% chance tells me this match ends with nobody winning. It could happen.
I mean, I think that'd be awful. I feel like that'd be terrible if they went to a non-finish or something at SummerSlam with these two. People would be pissed, and I think that'd be.
You think so?
I wouldn't do that. Yeah, I think so. I think people would be very upset at SummerSlam, no less, as well.
So you want a clear-cut, definitive winner at SummerSlam, and then the other 2 remaining goes to their own programs. Drew wins. Now you go back to Punk and Seth.
Well, 2 things. I think for the first match, there should be a clear finish. At SummerSlam, there should be a clear finish. But if you want to go to a rematch, here's what I would liken it to, and you might appreciate this analogy. I would liken it to 97 with Shawn, Taker, and Bret. Shawn was the referee for Bret and Taker at SummerSlam. Tried to cost Bret the win, ended up giving him the win by accident. We're not getting Rollins and Drew again. We've gotten that enough times. We're not going to that, obviously. We could go to Punk and Rollins in the meantime. You can do a non-finish on almost any other show, aside from like the big 4, at least Mania and SummerSlam. In this case, I would not do it. And they've done non-finishes at SummerSlam before, but in this match, the most anticipated match on the show, I think that'd be fucking lame. You can do that in the rematch, the setup. Remember, Shawn and Taker at Unforgiven or whatever it was, In Your House Unforgiven, whatever the fuck it was, had a non-finish in their first one-on-one match on that pay-per-view, remember? Yeah. And that led to Hell in a Cell, which this year, guess what? We have a pay-per-view on Bash in Berlin a couple weeks later. After that, though, is Bad Blood. You can do Punk and Drew again at Bash in Berlin, do a non-finish. I wouldn't even do a non-finish, but if you want to, you can. And then build a Hell in a Cell match in a couple of weeks and do Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood. I would save Punk and Rollins. You can do it coming out of this immediately. I would just save it for closer to Mania or the fall or the winter. To me, it doesn't matter. Right now, the heat is on Punk and McIntyre. Could you do the match and go back to it? Yeah, I don't really want the McIntyre Punk thing for them to move away from it and go back to it in time for Mania, so to speak. I don't really love that idea. I'd rather all the heat has been going on since January. They don't need to stretch it out for a fucking year. They really don't. I'd rather they end it before the end of 2024. Could they go back to it? Yeah. But I'd rather they finish the McIntyre thing and then move on to the Rollins feud. But that's just my personal preference.
I think all of this ends at Bad Blood. I think, could you get a clear finish at SummerSlam? Sure. But I think, because you must have been watching my tweets, I put the same thing out with Shawn, Bret, and Taker from SummerSlam, which is still an underrated fucking match, where if you want to align people by size, Seth would have to go for Punk, but hit Drew McIntyre. Drew is the Undertaker spot. Punk is the Bret spot. And Seth is the Shawn Michaels spot. So you can do that, but it's like, all right, you don't want Seth and Drew to continue because you've already seen that.
Yeah, no.
If he was to hit Drew McIntyre, then it's like, all right, so we're doing Seth and Drew one more time. But if he happens to call CM Punk, the match. Drew was like, all right, I'm good over here. And then now you get back to where you was at in what, January? No, January, February, March time, where Punk and Seth was going to happen at WrestleMania. You might have that this time around. But even with that, would you still be high on a CM Punk Seth Rollins match in 2025 as you were for 2024 when Punk first got back?
Would I be as high on Punk and Rollins now as I was back
Yeah,
then?
would you be excited, amped up for it, knowing he got hurt, he came back, rehab, and he has to circle back everything to get back to Seth Rollins. But when they first got on board, when Punk first got here, it was white hot. I can't wait for Punk and Rollins. But if you get that before Mania, are you still amped up for that kind of match?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. The focus now is on Punk and McIntyre. So, I mean, that's the more anticipated match. Come time for Punk and Rollins, would people still be excited for it? Yes. Would they be as excited for it as they were a year ago? I don't think so, just because that was going to be Punk's first feud back, and it ended up being McIntyre instead because of the injury. Yeah. But it's still a marquee match. It's still a big match. The big thing about that match, too, with Punk and Rollins was that they kind of played off like the hate between the two over the years and back and forth and shit. Now they're doing that with Drew. They're kind of telling the same story with Drew. So that takes the heat off of Punk and Rollins immediately right there. And two, the big thing about that feud going into Mania, it was going to be for the World Heavyweight Championship. It's still a big match. It doesn't need a title. But having the title on the line did make it a bit better because Punk could have become world champion by beating this guy that doesn't like him. Now they have a match. It's just a grudge match, which is fine. But it would have been a little bit better with the World Heavyweight title on the line. Drew and Punk does not need the world title at this point. Punk and Rollins doesn't need the world title. But when we first were teased with it, it would have been for the world title. Now it's not. So that kind of hinders it. So that's a good question because I don't think the excitement will be quite as high. It might be 1B as opposed to 1A. And I don't know if we get it at Mania. We might. Honestly, I've said this before. I would be okay with them doing Punk and Rollins before Mania. Only if they have a big enough match for Punk at Mania instead. I don't need this whole Drew Punk Rollins thing to stretch until Mania next year. That's a fucking 8-9 month period away. That's a long time. I would rather they probably move on from it before then. And then we get Punk and Cena at Mania, or Punk and there's a whole host of people. I think Roman will be busy, but Roman's a possibility. You can have him face Cody Rhodes. I think Cody Rhodes will probably face The Rock, but Punk and Rhodes I think would be fucking awesome. Any number of people, really. He doesn't have to face Rollins or Drew or WrestleMania. No. Definitely not Drew. I want it to wrap up before then. Rollins, I think it'd be tougher to stretch out until then.
Because, we spoke about this months ago. If we were betting people, who would you have winning the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble? And we both had CM Punk winning that.
Now I'm skeptical, so I don't know.
I mean, and if he was to do that, my dog is annoying me. Hold up. Listen, buddy. You gotta chill out. I think Punk wins the Rumble. Him and the Cody. More than, all right, so let's say World Heavyweight side might have Gunther, might have Damian Priest, might have a Seth, might have a Drew McIntyre, might have a fucking Jey Uso for all we know. Punk to go up against one of those guys in the main event of a WrestleMania, I prefer him and Cody Rhodes because I don't see Cody and The Rock happening at WrestleMania.
You don't?
I still think it's Rock and Roman.
When do you think we would get Cody and Rock? I agree. I wanted Rock and Roman Mania. I told you that 6 months ago. I don't think that's happening at Mania. I honestly, the closer that we get, I wanted Rock and Cody at SummerSlam. Obviously, that's not happening. I don't think Rock is wrestling at any other show but Mania going forward, which is...
If he was to do anything else, it would be the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
you could have
I would like that.
You could have Rock and Cody at the Rumble. As of right now, is that the Indiana one or something else? Royal Rumble.
That's in Indianapolis, yeah. February 1st. They could. Listen, I think that's a great idea. I would do Cody and Rock before then. I really don't like the idea of Cody and Rock and Mania. Is it a Mania feud? Yes. But Rock ain't fucking winning, and he shouldn't win. I don't really love that idea. With Rock and Roman, there's a bit more ambiguity because they could stretch it out. They can have Rock win the first one. Roman can come back and win the second one. I don't know. There's a lot of different moving pieces right now. I would love Punk and I think Punk and Cody is a worthy main event. at Mania for night 1, and then maybe Rock and Roman night 2 or whatever.
That's right.
That's what
night 1. Your boy Cody's going on night 1 with CM Punk possibly, and then night 2's got to be Rock and. But they're not gonna push. Listen, they're not gonna push Minnesota, who was supposed to be the next WrestleMania site. They're not gonna push Minnesota. Hey fam, listen, move to the side. I'm bringing Vegas in here for no Rock and Cody. I love both, two big marquee names, but we knew from day one what a Las Vegas WrestleMania is supposed to be.
Sure,
main event is Rock and Roman Reigns, but all that is contingent on what they do with the Bloodline the next couple months, what the Rock schedule is looking like the next few months, because at that time Roman has to be the good guy and Rock has to still be the final boss heel. If that's not happening, then this shit don't work. So remains to be seen, but as of right now, you could pencil in, I would say CM Punk for the men's side. The women's side, I have no idea. Could be very interesting. Maybe your girl Tiffy Time could win it. I don't know. But yeah, Rock and Roman should be the main event of night 2 of WrestleMania. Could it be a night 1? Slight chance, but if you get the Rock and Roman, they're not going on night 2. I mean, night 1.
No, Rock and Roman would not go on night 1. Non-title.
No, the Rock won't allow that.
I mean, he did wrestle on night 1 this year. I agree. I thought that too, but then he did wrestle on night 1 this year, to be fair. So
yeah,
he showed up during night 2, but he did wrestle on night 1.
So you're going to SummerSlam. I'm jealous, but it's cool. We're going for work purposes. We got a few matches. It's coming up down the pipeline. So now we added Punk and Drew. Seth is the referee. We do got Liv and Rhea. We got Cody and Solo. We have Damian and Gunther. We have Bailey and
Nia Jax.
Nia Jax. I think Nia's gonna win that too.
I think so.
I think Nia's gonna win. LA Knight and Logan Paul, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Anybody else that does not have a match that you think should be added on at some point? Fucking a week away, right?
Yeah, it's a week away. 7 matches confirmed. The only other match I think that could be added is, I know they're having a gauntlet match tonight to determine who DIY's next challengers are. I don't think that happens at SummerSlam. That's way too quick. They could do it there. The only reason I say it could happen there is because Gargano's from Cleveland, so they might want to get him on the show. Miz ain't having a match on the show at this point. Gargano, maybe. Probably not. I think the likeliest addition to the card, if they want an 8-match card for SummerSlam, which I think they should, honestly. 7 matches is great. They've had 6 and 5 for the B-level shows. For SummerSlam, I'd be fine with 8, but if they want to do 7, hey, that's fine with me. The likeliest option would be Chad Gable and Uncle Howdy / Bo Dallas, because they've been building it up for weeks. They might want to get the Wyatt 6 entrance on that show in Brown Stadium. The big the big spectacle would be cool. So I don't know if it gets added, because I feel like if it was, they would have announced it last week or this past week.
Yeah.
But there's still a chance they add it on Monday.
Well, last year, Graham, they had 9 matches.
They did, but one of them was a Money in the Bank cash-in, right?
Let me test out Graham's memory here.
Io cashed in on Bianca in like a 30-second match, if that. 30, 60, 15-second match.
8 seconds.
8 seconds. There you go.
So really 8?
8 matches, which is why I think 8 this year could work. Last year's show was also incredibly fucking long, so maybe they don't want to do that again. They went really, really late last year, but if they want to, if they want to do 8 and then cut some of the matches short a little bit, that's fine. 7's a sweet spot. 8 is where I would draw the line.
Yeah, we got 7 now. We got 7.
Yeah. So.
Okay, hold up. Let me get.
They could do one on the pre-show too, but that's also possible.
Yeah, the women's tag titles.
Yeah, they wouldn't do that on the main card, I wouldn't think. They could do that on the pre-show. I don't give a fuck about Isla Dawn and Dawn and Alba Fire on the main card. I mean, I like Bianca and Jade, but that match is not main card worthy at all. I'm sorry.
Have you changed your tune on Nia Jax? I know this has been a running joke for you, Nia, but now she's doing a whole lot better since her return. She's been more of a focal point. She's gonna go for the title at SummerSlam. So are you what's the word looking for? Are you like
If I come around to Nia Jax,
Yeah, like having that her second go around is better than what it was before.
yeah, I am happy about that. I'm not sitting here with a Nia Jax shirt on, but I am going to say, and listen, I've been very public about this. I've been very public about it. If not that I'm proven wrong, but I mean of that too. But like,
That's right.
if someone goes from being like, hey, I don't think they're very good, or I don't want them on the show at all, to then being good and turning things around, or even vice versa. I mean, there's been a lot of people that have also been great and then ended up going shit or whatever. I will be vocal about it and admit that. And Nia Jax is one of those few people that I didn't give a fuck about at all. I thought she was not very good. She was not safe. Bailey mentioned that last week. Not now, but back in the day, a couple of years ago. But you know, let's call a spade here. She came back to the company, looks to be in great shape. But I mean, that's just one factor. If it, you know, it's not like, oh, she's fat, so I don't like her. That has nothing to do with it. But she came back looking great. Her in-ring work improved a lot. The booking has improved a lot. They've really have figured out how to book Nia Jax.
Yeah.
She hasn't lost a lot of matches. She's had good feuds. The promos still aren't great, but they're okay. But they've kind of figured out how they should have booked her. I can't even say that because I say they should have booked her this way 8 years ago when she first got called up. She wasn't ready back then, though. She should not have been called up at that point. She was not ready. She wasn't good. She was not ready for that. She is ready now. I'm totally fine with them putting the belt on her at SummerSlam. She's had good matches with Becky and Rhea and a few other people. So, yeah, I think the match with Bailey could be fine. And I think she does walk out and probably should walk out as the new women's champion. If she doesn't, I'm not going to cry about it. But I think I would be totally fine with Nia winning the belt at SummerSlam.
Nia Jax has been presented as a threat in the women's division. She should have been in the bloodline.
That I'm going to say no to, but everything else I agree with.
Yeah, we don't want the bloodline looking like NWO 99 where everybody's a member. We don't. Would I have been opposed to that? No. But then you don't want the fans to feel like they're watering down this whole bloodline angle, the whole bloodline stable. So you definitely don't want that. Could she have been? Yeah. Opposed to it? No. But I think just having her out of it is the best thing for her because she will get lost in the shuffle with that. So
yeah.
One more thing on bloodline before I go to Bobby Lashley and stuff, and then we'll wrap up. If Roman Reigns is not coming back at SummerSlam, if he's not, is it a little more difficult to decide what the main event is for SummerSlam? Because obviously you would probably say Cody and Solo because it's for the title, it's the bloodline storyline. But does Punk and Drew with Seth involved have a chance to main event SummerSlam? But which route would you go? But the caveat is, Roman's not coming back.
If Roman's not coming back, I do definitely not even question it. Go with Punk and McIntyre in the main event because that's the most anticipated match on the card. I don't know if it'll be the best match, but I think it is it's the biggest attraction on the card. And regardless of how it goes down, I don't really care about Cody and Solo. I know a lot of people agree the match won't be amazing. I don't think Solo's winning. That's not main event to me, but it would probably main event because Cody's the guy, but also because Roman might come back afterward. If he doesn't, it's like Cody wins, LOL, like who cares? I don't know. Unless Orton comes out and lays out Cody Rhodes, it doesn't need to close the show. Yeah. Even Gunther and Damian, they've actually got me a lot more interested in that match through what they've done on Raw as of late with the brawls and the promo work. It's actually been really, really good. That's still, to me, even if Gunther walks out, the new World Heavyweight Champion, does not feel like the main event to me. Punk and McIntyre does. You can even make a case for Rhea and Liv. Let's be honest here. I think you can make a case for them. They got a great thing going right now. I would be fine with either one of those options. But if Roman Reigns is returning, that has to close the show. If he's not, like you said, we're under the impression that he's not, and I think he is, obviously. But you're saying in this hypothetical sense, I would go with Punk and Drew.
Hey, you don't think it's too soon for that?
For them to main event?
No, for Roman to come back this early at SummerSlam.
I mean, I don't know if it's that early. It's been 4 months. I mean, I'm not saying it's that long. That's been long enough. It's not like he's coming back at fucking Backlash, you know? I always thought when he dropped the belt, it should have been at Mania, and then he could take time off until SummerSlam. That's what I've always thought, dating back a couple years, and we're getting that now. I mean, again, if he doesn't and they want to draw it out a little bit further, they can. I wouldn't even be disappointed if Roman is not back at SummerSlam. If they close the show with Cody and Solo and Roman does not come out, then I would be disappointed a little bit because I don't really want that as the main event. But if they don't close or whatever and Roman isn't there, they can drag this out with the Bloodline a little bit further and have Roman come back closer to the Rumble or Survivor Series or Mania. There's just so much going on to the Bloodline stuff. They can afford to drag it out without Roman if they want to. Not for that much longer, but for at least a little bit longer, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think the only thing that can be like, all right, I'm cool with Cody and Solo being the main event. In the event Roman's not here because of a potential heel turn is coming. Like you tell me Randy Orton's going to turn on Cody Rhodes, that can close the show. All right, that's a good plan B if Roman's not around. But I think Punk and I would say Punk and Seth, Punk and Drew has a good chance of main eventing SummerSlam because I think there's more meat on the bone for that story. But I mean, Cody's a world champion. You know what I'm saying? Finish the story, and now all of a sudden he's not going to main event a fucking pay-per-view. That's like, or PLE. It's like, I don't know, because he's been main eventing all these PLEs since WrestleMania, right?
Cody, no. I mean, the only one he did not was Clash. Him and AJ opened that show, but he did main event Backlash and he main evented Money in the Bank. And he did not main event. Did he main event King and Queen of the Ring? What did?
I don't know. Let me go look. What main evented King?
Was it King? Queen? Was it Cody and Logan Paul?
No, I don't.
I think it was. He may have made. I think he main evented that show too, because I don't think Damian Priest was on that show.
Yeah, Cody and Logan main evented.
Okay, so he has main evented most of them. He didn't main event Clash though. That was the only one he hasn't.
So Noob wants Roman and Jimmy to come back at SummerSlam.
I don't know if I would do both in the same night, but
yeah, right.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah, that's fine.
Yo, hold on. I'm gonna get my dog out of here. Your man's annoying. You want to get on TV? Hey, you want to get on the camera? Say hi. Say hi. This your 15 seconds of fame. Look at you. I love you. But
he's got something to say about Roman Reigns. He wants Roman Reigns back too.
What you want to say?
Oh, nothing. No, I didn't think so. He wants the big dog back. He wants the big dog back at SummerSlam. The little dog wants the big dog back.
That's right. All right. Last point before he starts annoying me. I seen this thing. Bobby Lashley. He's the rumor is he's not coming back. MVP rumor not coming back. Could be AEW bound. Rumor. Hurt Business rumor. AEW bound. Me and you have brought up the Hurt Business aspect a while back, and I think if I read it correctly, he was saying, or I think Shelton was saying that what you see from the Bloodline is kind of like what it was supposed to be for them, for the Hurt Business, to a degree. When you talk about the pandemic, of like what really held down the company, storylines, talent, it was Randy Orton, it was Sasha Banks, it was Bayley, and it was the Hurt Business. And Bobby was champion for quite some time. They had opportunities, good faction. It got broken up way too quick for whatever reason or reasons, and it just never got back on track. And a lot of fans felt the same way as me and you did about that whole faction. What do you take about Bobby potentially not coming back? Also MVP and the far possibility that these two can end up in AEW and maybe bring back the Hurt Business over there.
I was surprised to see that just because Bobby's been a pretty featured player. I mean, he's not the main eventer that I think he can be, but he has been on the show pretty consistently over the years. He's had a lot of success in recent years. So to see that he would want to leave was a little surprising. But if it's under the impression that we want to get the Hurt Business back together, WWE does not. They teased it under Triple H's regime. They did not go through with it. They have not used MVP in a long time. They want to try to get something going there. Shelton's a free agent, so they could try an AEW. I'd be down for it. Listen, I mean, it doesn't really, benefit anyone technically because it's three guys that are almost 50 at this point. If you want to put a younger guy in there, that's cool too. I don't know who that would be from the AEW roster. There's a whole host of options. Obviously, they have a talented roster. But I think it would make for some fun matches and some fun feuds. There's already enough people in AEW they're not doing enough with. So I don't know if that would work. I don't know. I always thought Bobby Lashley was a better fit in WWE than AEW. I never really said or thought to myself, if he were to leave, he would be a big-time player over there.
Yeah.
I feel like he would get lost in the shuffle, even with a group. But I think it's worth trying if they want to give it a shot. It looks like he is as good as gone from WWE. I'm interested to see what they do. I think MVP was criminally wasted there towards the end. He's a great manager, and they've had nothing for him to do for like 2 fucking years now. So I feel like that's a joke. But I think, he can work as a manager. Bobby's still got it. He can still go, and Shelton's also very good. So if they want to put another member in there or just have the 3 of them, it's worth for one more go around is my idea. So I'm curious to see how it fares.
But I'm like the $1 million question is like, why wouldn't they want to bring it back? I obviously the company,
in WWE.
Yeah, like why?
They just don't. I mean, that's a question for Triple H in an honest scenario, and he's not going to answer it in like a press scrum or something. But
no,
I don't think honestly. Anyway, I don't know, dude. Vince broke it up. Vince gave them the opportunity to get it over, and they got it over probably more than WWE was expecting, and they fucking broke it up. Even after Bobby became champion, it wasn't like Bobby was on the down spiral. He was WWE champion, and they broke it up. Dumb. And then they teased getting it back together a couple different times under Vince and Triple H, because Triple H takes over, and we're like, oh, here we go, back to business, no pun intended. We can get the thing back together now. And they still didn't do it. I mean, MVP's out here accusing Triple H of being racist and stuff. I mean, that's a pretty heavy allegation. I don't know. I don't work there. I have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't think so. I mean, that's not my idea of it, but maybe he also thought we took this thing as far as we can. I mean, they put Bobby in another fucking group, so it's not like, hey, we don't want Bobby to be in a group. They put him with the Profits.
Yeah.
Maybe the idea there was we'll put him with the Profits I mean, they were already over, but like we can kind of launch them to the next level. We're not launching MVP to the next level. We're not launching Shelton Benjamin to the next level. They're fucking 50. I mean, Bobby's almost 50. He can still go, but it's not like he's going to be the next face of the company. Montez Ford can be. And they never really saw that thing through. And he didn't really, it's not like they had him put over Montez Ford on the way out. His last appearance was like putting over or beating Karrion Kross's group in Mania. I mean, it kind of went out with a whimper. So, yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't really look like something WWE is interested in, which is a shame because it did make money. People liked it. People still talk about one of the biggest dropped ball moments in recent WWE history because it is.
Listen, I agree. And they don't. I remember. I think DIY might be the last one, and if I'm wrong, tell me. But like having tag team partners or have a tag team faction, be all goody and win tag titles, and all of a sudden, boom, they split up. And bro, it's been years. Me and you would be like, yo, I think more so me. Like the New Day, can we kind of like get these guys to split up and just see what it could happen if Big E was a bad guy?
They don't want to. This is what I would say about the New Day. I agree. The New Day shit ran its course a long time ago. At the very least, they should be doing more with them on their own without turning on each other. Why can't you utilize Kofi or Woods in the mid-card title picture? They're doing the thing with Karrion Kross right now, and it's fine. But like, why can't you use Kofi as an intercontinental title challenger? They used him as a WWE title challenger, I know 5 years ago, but they went back to him with Bobby, actually, and Money in the Bank a couple years ago. And it was cool. It was entertaining, and it went nowhere. I want to see more of that. They don't need to be in the tag team division all the time. I want to see them branch off and do their own thing. The Profits, to me, are a more egregious example. Love the Profits, but they've been around now on the main roster for 5 fucking years. 7 years in the company in general. 5 years on the main roster. They've held all the titles. They've done it all. They haven't held titles in a while, but they've held all the titles multiple times. Why can't we? You don't have to have them split up, but why can't you start focusing on Montez as a singles? There is no upside with them as a tag team at this point. Montez has been ready to be a guy in that company for fucking years, dude. And he's not getting any younger. I don't understand that one. I don't get at all. I really don't understand that. Like Dawkins, you can use him on his own too in the mid-card title picture. Montez Ford should be close to the main event at this point, and he's still doing the fucking Profits thing. I just don't get it. And you can do the tag team thing occasionally. But the fact they're not doing more with him, to your point, with like New Day and stuff like that, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
New Day should have broke up a long time ago. Who would have been the heel? I don't care, but it's just interesting television, like because my thing is with Bobby and them with the Hurt Business, it was just too short, like
way too short.
they were together for 5, 6, 7 years. Like New Day, all right, now you can break them up.
They were together for 5, 6, 7 months.
Yeah, it was what no more than a year for them.
No, literally, it was like 5. They joined maybe in September of 2020, August of 2020, and they broke up by the following March. Yeah.
No. But they'd rather break them up than the New Day, or like I want to see Montez Ford go up against like Logan Paul for the U.S. title, or Intercontinental Championship.
I agree. I don't get it. I mean, it is nice that they're not breaking up tag teams left and right, because they used to do that all the time. They would break up every team that would join together. Yeah. They haven't broken up DIY, which I appreciate. The Usos were together for fucking 15 years. They actually should not have broken them up. That whole feud sucked. Mm-hmm. But the Profits, you don't have to break them up necessarily, but just do something with them on their own. Put Montez with Bianca or something, dude. Like they're not doing shit on their own right now. So why not try to do single stuff? If they're not going for the tag titles, then utilize one of them in the singles ranks. It's not that hard. You can do both. You can have it both ways.
Hey man, sometimes you are Sean, and sometimes you are Marty Jannetty.
You can have two Seans. You can have two Seans sometimes.
Way too many factions. Yeah, I think we got the Bloodline, we got Judgment Day, we have
LWO, Karrion Kross's faction. You had Bobby's faction, which is still kind of a faction even without Bobby.
What's the Dakota Kai Damage
Control? Sonya Deville's new group you have in the women's division right now on Raw as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factions. I mean, I can look up and down the roster, but yeah, there are a lot of them. There are quite a bit of them,
and they're all still intact. Everybody's good friends with this buddies.
I mean, they have broken up a few of them. They had like the Brawling Brutes. They broke that one up.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'd have to look at the roster. They have a lot of people, but they've broken up a few different factions.
Yeah,
not a lot, but they've broken up a few.
They might be aiming for like a Sheamus something with those people, right? For SummerSlam, you think? I don't know about main card, but maybe like pre-show kind of vibes, right?
Maybe. I don't think so. I think that'll probably just happen on Raw, but I wouldn't be opposed to it though.
There you go. Alphabet Mafia with Shayna, Sonya, and Zoe. Wow. That's a tongue twister. Shayna, I can't say that shit straight face. Shayna, Sonya, and Zoe.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
A lot of factions.
And
nobody's breaking up.
No, it's like AEW. They have a lot of factions.
Everybody's friend. Oh, yeah. Thank you for bringing AEW up. I did see Daniel Bryan's contract coming up. Bryan Danielson's contract's coming up August 1st.
Yeah, August 1st. But I mean, he's on a fucking pay-per-view on August 25th. So he's not going anywhere.
So he's staying. He's good.
He's not leaving right now. He's done as an active performer at some point. I think he's going to sign an extension through like the end of the year or Wrestle Dream in October or at least All In. He's not leaving on August 1st because he's challenging for the World Championship at All In. I don't really know why he even said that publicly. I thought that was interesting because he's not leaving right now. So I don't really know why he'd say that.
He's not doing a Lex Luger like,
Daniel Bryan, I don't think would do that.
Pull up on Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
He ain't doing that?
I don't think so. Be cool, but I don't think it's happening.
Yeah. Anything before we leave that I'm missing? I know. So you're going to SummerSlam. You're heading out Thursday. So our next show will be before Thursday. We'll do that. Probably do something cool with you before we do. So I was thinking like a draft of like just SummerSlam matches.
Ooh, okay.
Give us a few days to think about that. But anything else that I'm missing in the last week?
I think we hit all of it.
We got SummerSlam. We got WrestleMania, maybe in London. Little AEW stuff. When's the next show?
AEW's next show?
Yeah,
it is All In on August 25th. I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a new title. I saw that.
Yeah, they redid the international title, and now it's the American title for MJF. Just because it's his gimmick. So I mean, that's not like an AEW thing. That's a heel.
He's champion. He's champion.
He beat Will Ospreay for the belt in a great match about a week ago on Dynamite, like an hour-long match. It was like Sean Cena type stuff. Great match though. Excellent match.
An hour, bro.
Yeah.
An hour.
Yeah. On TV.
It good? Was it good?
It was great. It was an awesome match. Not every match has to be an hour, but I thought for them it worked. They
True.
dominated the first full hour of the show, and it was cool.
We got to figure out what's the greatest hour match in wrestling history. The top 5, like Iron Man-ish matches.
I mean, that's probably one of them, to be honest with you.
Really?
It's better than Shawn and fucking Bret Hart from WrestleMania 12.
You're saying MJF and Will Ospreay is better than Bret and Shawn from WrestleMania 12?
Yeah, I am saying that,
real?
actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Bret and Shawn is not that great of a match.
Why? Because they're not. Bret and Shawn weren't flippy floppy doing all.
Didn't have to. They just it was not the most exciting match. But listen, I'm not saying everything.
It's storytelling, Grand. They would tell the story in the
okay.
ring.
So did MJF and Will Ospreay. They told a better story.
Well, to be fair, I have not seen the match.
Okay.
So
you probably still wouldn't agree anyway.
Bro, they just said 2 months ago a different hour match was the it was an Ospreay somebody recently.
Danielson?
Probably
that wasn't an hour though. Huh?
Bro, there was some match that happened the last 2 months in AEW, whether it was an hour or not.
Okay.
Yo, it was the best show in Dynamite history.
Yeah, Ospreay and Danielson, yeah.
So that wasn't for an hour.
It wasn't for an hour, no.
Okay, so rewind back. Ospreay, MJF is better than Shawn and Bret at WrestleMania 12.
Yeah, I would probably say so, yeah. I'm not going to say, listen, but I'll say this so you don't completely fucking hate me right now. I don't want to say everything new is better than everything old. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's as good as, I'd have to go back and watch it. Shawn and Rock might be the best Iron Man match of all time. Not Shawn and Rock, I'm sorry. Rock and Triple H from Judgment Day 2000. But the best hour-long match, the best hour-long match, I don't know if Shawn and Cena from Raw is an hour long. It's close to an hour long. It might be 45 minutes. I don't remember. But the best hour-long match in recent history, if not definitely better than Shawn and Bret, is MJF and Bryan Danielson from Revolution last year. That might be the best hour-long match I have seen. Better than MJF and Ospreay. That is better than Shawn and Bret Hart.
John, from what I'm seeing, Cena and Shawn was an hour match on Raw.
That's definitely top 5.
Is it better than MJF and Will Ospreay?
I don't know. Maybe. It might probably is. I don't know.
Wow. It just happened 2 days ago.
No, I said Shawn and Cena probably is better than MJF and Ospreay. I don't know. On, it might be. I don't know. That one is tougher. I'm just saying Shawn and Bret.
Be careful. You know,
I'm listen.
I'm gonna clip this. I'm waiting for you.
Shawn and Bret may not even be top 5. May not. And if it is, it's 5, bro. It is 5.
For Iron Man matches?
MJF and Danielson is better. Cena and Shawn is better. MJF and Ospreay is better than all 3 of those matches. If they're all an hour long, are all better than Shawn and Bret from Mania.
Well, on that note, you can follow Graham Matthews on Twitter. Wrestle Rant. Great work for Bleacher Report, FanSided DDT. Find the podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also on Amazon Music. Find myself, Randy J. Cruz, RENDY, letter J CRUZ on Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Show some love and support for your boys in the program. Download, rate, comment, subscribe. YouTube.com/Cruise Control Podcast. Again, show some love and support for your boys here on the program. For myself, Randy Cruz, Graham Matthews. Oh, man, thank you. Always appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. I'll catch you in the next one.
All right, man. Take it easy.
You too.
All right, bet.